Hey everyone, before we start the video, if you'd like to get your replay reviewed by us in the next video, be sure to head into the Discord down below and head down to the VoD review channel where you can submit your games for us to view. Thanks, and let's get into the video. So if you're bottom fragging a lot, that's a problem. Now, kills aren't everything, but chances are if you're always at the bottom of the leaderboard, it's for a reason. So let's talk about that. I asked members of the Discord to submit me a few games of them bottom fragging so that we could go through some of the reasons that these players were struggling. And today we're going to be looking over some of those games so you guys can learn the biggest things that are holding players back. The game we're going over today is going to be submitted by Cold, and he's actually going to be playing Jett today, so we'll actually get to talk about some of the things that he does that could potentially cause him to miss out on opportunities to grab more kills. Hopefully by the end of this, you'll have a good understanding of some of the things that maybe cause you to perform worse in your games, and you'll be able to use those tips to bring your game to the next level. Starting out with the very first round that I want to talk about from this game, you'll notice how Cold spends the majority of this round abusing this poor cardboard box in heaven. This box is not going to attack you. I don't know if it hurt his family or what, but he spends a lot of time spamming this box, and if the enemy does end up swinging him, his crosshair and recoil are completely unprepared to deal with it. And it's awesome that he doesn't die when this enemy Sage swings him, but you'll notice that's exactly what's going to happen to him when the Jett actually does decide to swing him. And the time he spends spamming this box, he could be spending actually pushing up and helping his team grab this space. Think about it. What does him spamming this box effectively do? It reveals his position, hurts his accuracy, hurts his crosshair placement, and it might kill an enemy if they peek close. And frankly, it's just kind of a waste of time because while he's sitting here shooting this box, the enemy team is rotating over towards A site. He's not exactly grabbing more territory or helping his team push up, he's just kind of sitting here until he gets swung. By the way, I did a live breakdown of this exact VoD on the website, so if you wanted to hear some of the other things I talk about throughout this game, that will all be available there. Here's a quick listen to some of the commentary. Wondering why you're bottom fragging? These will be reasons of why you're having a rough game, right? That's because you're not taking the gunfights when you should be. And something I would say is that, like, generally, I don't like fighting over the mid right now when there's these sections of the wall up, right? When there's this stuff and this stuff, it's rough because you can get peeked from this side and you can get peeked from this side, right? Just imagine the walls behind this right now. Or you can get peeked from up here even. Or, like, sometimes people will be playing back in vents and they're holding this angle or something like that. You know, these are all things that you need to worry about. And this is why, if you have a rifle, you guys can just stand in middle at the start of the round and just shoot this wall down so you don't need to worry about this. If a Sage is going to be walling this at the start of every round, you know, I don't know why people don't just come up here and they don't just shoot the wall down, right? It gets rid of that whole factor, makes it so much easier to take mid control, and you don't have to worry about it anymore. But they didn't buy rifles. There are like a few of them bought rifles and he didn't, so you can't really do that. You can't do this with a deagle. If you guys want to catch the rest of the commentary throughout the rounds, be sure to visit SkillCapped.com. But let's touch a bit more on the last thing that I was talking about that caused Cold to get less kills during this game. And that's his relentless saving habits. And normally this would be a good thing in real life, but it is not a good thing in Valorant. He actually submitted 2 VoDs for us and had the exact same issue with the other one. Notice how at the end of the second round of this game, his team was actually going to pick up a win after losing pistol round. This is really awesome because generally this means that the other team forced up after winning pistol, and if they lost, it means that you should have gun advantage right now. And if they didn't force up, it means that you two should be more or less even in terms of economy. Now, if you look at their money, his team easily has enough credits to buy up, but he chooses to buy a deagle. There is no reason for him to be sticking on a deagle right now, especially if he doesn't have knives. You need to be forcing up a rifle in this situation because this is your team's chance to steal the momentum. You can have weapon advantage here and secure another offensive round, which is incredibly important because if you look at his team, they don't actually have a controller and he's playing on split offense. You need to get as many offensive rounds as you can with this triple sentinel comp that you're running. And it's hard to get rounds when you don't have a gun, so buy a gun. This isn't the only time that he does this though, so that's why it's so important to comment on, because as you'll see from this next round, his team once again easily has enough money to buy, but he still uses a deagle. Like, what is the point of him saving the round before if he still is going to buy a deagle the next round? And because he has a deagle, as you heard me talk about earlier during the commentary clip, he's not able to help his team deal with the Sage wall in the middle at all. And when his Killjoy does take contact in middle, he doesn't even swing off for contact. At the end of the day, these are the reasons that you're not getting a lot of kills in your game. You'll notice even later in the game, he even complains about the players being demons.
Bro,
Valiant effort.
I wish I was good. at the game.
Literally, she's playing against bots, and I'm fucking.
Clutch.
I'm literally 100% of the Sage's
I am
kills.
not just
I hope you noticed that so far the things that I'm showing you that are losing him kills don't really have anything to do with the enemy team. They are just mistakes that he's making that are resulting in suboptimal situations. Like, okay, he didn't buy a rifle this round and baited his killjoy, then stole her rifle, but instead he could have bought a rifle, helped her deal with the sage wall in middle, and optimally this would have been a way easier round for his team. Now, let's talk about one more thing that happens in this round though, and it's sort of a similar thing to the first topic that we talked about. Cold has this habit that many lower ranked players have of spraying through smokes constantly. This is a pretty similar habit to the first one that we talked about, but he gets really punished for it here, and I wanted to showcase exactly why this is a problem. Players constantly just love to shoot through every single smoke that they see, and although sometimes you can get kills for this, against good players you can also get very punished. Because you'll notice how when Cold sprays through the smoke, he can't even see the exit of the smoke really. But not only that, nobody is there to protect him while he reloads. So he goes for the reload, and while he's doing this, Jet knows exactly where he is and the fact that he's vulnerable, and she starts to swing out on him. Spraying through smokes can be good at times, but he doesn't actually need to find a pick in this round right now. His team is in a 3v2 and they're already on course to win the round. Frankly, all he needs to do right here to win this round is not die. However, because he went and did something stupid that didn't really have a high chance of getting him a kill in the first place, he got really punished for it, and now it puts his team in a rough position. He actually does this quite a bit, but like I said, this is just an example of him getting punished for it. And there are a couple of other main points I covered on the actual VoD, but one of the main points that I want to talk about right now is just his tendency to peek common angles slow or play directly on common angles, especially when he has his dash available. This is one of the main things that is going to make it seem like his opponents are demons, and it's just because you're making it easy for them to hit their shots. Notice in this first round the way that Cold peeks this angle. He's going to swing directly into the exact place that this Omen would be aiming and immediately gets marshaled. And this is an okay shot by the Omen, but that's not really any reason for him to swing at this exact spot. Instead, what he can do is he can swing into B main, passing this angle that he swung into, and if he gets into trouble, he always has his dash. Or he can hold this angle at the start of the round and pre-fire it. But instead, he let the Omen get the angle first, and then he swung into it exactly where he would be aiming. And now this is another round where he literally died right away and has no opportunity to get kills anymore in the round. And this exact same situation happens again a second time in the game. You'll notice how Omen kills his Killjoy in B main in the next round, and Cold is going to run to take a fight against the Omen again. Now, we all remember where the Omen played last time, right? Well, Cold is going to slow peek it this time, which is probably worse than what he did the first time, and it's going to get him taken out once again, like 20 seconds into the round. Now, a very similar situation can happen on defense actually, and if you take a look at this next round, you'll actually see what I'm talking about. You'll notice how at the start of the round, Cold is going to be taking a very standard angle on ramps, and the reason this can be bad is because, like we said, this is a very standard angle. This is how the enemies are going to swing the corner, and if you're standing right where their crosshair is, it's incredibly likely that you'll lose this engagement. And when you've been playing this angle every single round, it's likely you'll get punished for this. Especially when you're playing an agent like Jet, something you're able to do when you have your dash up is play the off angle, and after you take the initial duel, you can dash out. But because Cold decides to take the standard angle, he literally loses 140 HP immediately at the start of the round, and he needs to play differently because of this. Valorant isn't all about how to make it easiest for you to hit your shots, it's also about making it hard for the enemies to hit their shots. And Cold really doesn't do a good job of making it difficult for the enemies to hit their shots. But like we said, if you want to see all the other things that we went over in the full VoD, that is all available on the website, so be sure to check that out, link in the description below. I hope this was helpful for some of you to realize the things that may be causing you to get less kills in your game. For Cold, a lot of the problem was literally just him making bad decisions that got him killed early on in the rounds, or not playing off of his teammates very well. One major thing I also noticed was his crosshair placement was pretty poor, but that's been covered in so many videos, I didn't really feel like it was worth a huge focus in this one. As always, my name is King, and we here at SkillCapped want to thank you all for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.